What is an example of something that's both low quality and expensive? Hello everyone! Post your opinion on this in the comments. Story 1. I've noticed many items are lower in quality but price is the same or more expensive. Example. Wanted to replace a very specific purse from a known brand with exact same one I had purchased 5 years ago. Bought the exact same model for roughly the same price, and what a piece of crap it is now. All the hardware was super flimsy and cheap. Hello, companies. We see what you are doing. I'd rather pay a little more to get the better quality, but you aren't giving me the option. So now I will go buy some other brand that actually is quality. Story 2, my internet service provider. I've lived in Georgia, Michigan, Ohio, and now Kansas. And I can say without qualification that Cox Communications is by far the worst ISP I've ever dealt with. The internet regularly goes down multiple times a day. I even got a remote-activated power switch, so I can power cycle my router without having to get up. Story 3. Anything that is marketed as gaming. Gaming chairs, gaming keyboards, gaming headsets, etc. Most of the time are both expensive and terrible quality, while many alternatives are the opposite. Story 4. Epic Systems. It's a software package that runs hospitals. For a mid-sized hospital, it runs around $50 million plus $10 million a year for support. It's so awesome that it has to be shut down during daylight saving time changes because it can't handle it. It also won't communicate with non-Epic EMRs, which is mostly done by fax. I guess on the positive side, it is woman-owned and Judith Faulkner is a self-made billionaire. Her employees call her mom. While we are on hospital prices, a basic hospital bed starts at $25,000 and quickly goes up from there. And meanwhile, we wonder why healthcare prices are so high. Story 5. Eyeglasses, specifically those made by Luxottica. High-priced frames, superficially branded and marked up as high as the general market will stand. Frames that cost dollars or less than $1 to make, sold for hundreds. It's an oppressive monopoly with too much market power in the hands of one large international globocorp. Story 6. Everything low quality is expensive in the long run. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $1.10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. Terry Pratchett, Men-at-Arms. Story 7. Most new recreational vehicles, they making Boeing products look like NASA builds space shuttles. So many loose bolts, poorly applied sealant, faulty wiring, unsecured suspension and brake systems. If you are in the market for an RV, 110% get it inspected before you buy. If the place will not let you, you do not want to buy from them. It doesn't matter if it's a $50K one or $250K one, they all need a thorough look over. Story 8. Anything related to Beats Audio. Their laptop speaker thing is abysmal and ruins music, and their headphones are cheap, bassy crap that distort music. Story 9. To a certain degree, no pun intended, private universities in India which are unnecessarily hyped. They show all this promise about being world-class, but all I hear is the extreme amount of workload students have, only to end up in the same place at the end of it all as students from other, less hyped universities. Story 10. Apple products. I am typing this on an iPhone, but my dad has owned Samsungs, Google Pixels, and many other Androids in the past. It's crazy how much more versatile they are, and how advanced some of them are compared to Apple. For example, they had wireless charging years before the Apple got it. Apple products are only popular BC. They are aesthetically pleasing and the company is great at marketing. I will say Apple products aren't necessarily low quality, but for the price, it's just not worth it. Story 11. I'm going back 20 years here, so things could well have changed. But Apple products, I used to be salesman for PC World in the UK. 50% of the iPods we sold came back broken within 30 days. Rarely any sign of damage or misuses. They just stopped working. I asked to be moved off sales because I just couldn't stand people looking over at me when they came back to return them. Story 12. Las Vegas. Most of the things there are absurdly overpriced. The The bottle service experience is stupid. Many restaurants have time limits, and overall it's not glitzy and glamorous, just skeevy bullshit. If you're super wealthy and can effortlessly afford the best accommodations and treatment, that's one thing. Outside of that, it's just lame rat race of overspending, drunk peer pressure, and taking risks most people can't afford to. Story 13. I don't know about in general, but my wife just bought 3 strands of LED lights for our back deck. 0 of them work. On 2 of the control for dimming and control from an app doesn't work, and on the 3rd, the strand doesn't work. They were just under $100 for 3 strands of light bulbs that might get used 20 times this summer. Can't get any of them back into their original packaging. Fuck this. Story 14, McDonald's. DoorDashed at one recently. It's $10 for a Big Mac meal with those 2 pathetic little patties on an oversized double bun. I've heard McDonald's is cheaper on the app, but that upfront price is downright insulting. Story 15. Mostly everything. My wife told me that she bought the same model of bra from the same middle-high brand 4 years ago and now. The model is the same. It seems to be the same. But the fabric quality and material is way worse in the new one. A famous European TV and hiffy maker has stopped making its own products and has become an outlet for overpriced Chinese crap in the last 10 years or so. Once I could buy Chinese electronic components from AliExpress or decent quality ones from local stores. Now, local stores sell the same Chinese crap for the price of the decent ones. Story 16, Modern American Homes. I have seen so many videos where people lean pee on a post or a dog pulls on a leash attached to a post on the veranda. Completely falls apart. I just can't believe things are made so weak. Maybe only specific houses, areas, but too many, that's for sure. Story 17, Fast food. Health insurance. Car insurance, home insurance, puppies at national pet stores, education at many universities, airplane travel, USPS package delivery, state county fairs, alcoholic drinks at most restaurants, food at amusement parks, most grass seed, realtor services. TBH, there are some great realtors out there, but most are not. Same-day bathroom remodels, timeshares. Can you tell I'm a parent with several children? Story 18. Most RVs. There are some brands that build to a higher quality, but most are built very poorly. Source. I'm a full-time RVer and have experience with multiple brands. Story 19. German cars. My mother and sister love their Minis and VW Beetles, but those cars have had nothing but issues their entire lifespans, and replacement parts are more expensive than equivalent replacements from the Toyotas and Hondas I've owned. Story 20. New houses. I only have anecdotal evidence here, but I know few people who have bought newly constructed houses in the last 10, 15 years, and they complain all the time about how cheaply built they are. Thin insulation, single-pane windows, and this in the Texas heat. Roofs that don't last, air conditioners and water heaters that fail every few years, generally shoddy build quality, cracked driveways or foundations, etc. Most of these folks are upside down on their mortgages now because their houses are depreciating rather than appreciating in value, despite the fact that housing prices are going through the roof. Story 21. German luxury cars. They may have very high-quality materials, finishes, and other elements on the surface, and they may ride and handle exquisitely, but the reliability is shit, and repair costs are unnecessarily high. It's so bad that most owners of these cars have a rule that you only lease new ones, and swap for another new after the lease expires, and to never buy a used one. Story 22, Nike Dunks. I've spent obscene amounts of money on these shoes over the years, and yeah, they're dope and stylish, but they aren't holding up to real wear and tear or any kind of physical activity besides walking El Mao. They are literally just for show and nothing else. And to me, growing up with not a lot of money, a shoe is low quality if it doesn't last. Story 23, low quality, fast food expensive. Not necessarily at the time of purchase, but what does it take to get rid of the bad food you ate? How does that negatively affect you long-term, and how expensive it is to fix? Story 24, most home appliances. My late parents bought a refrigerator in 1989 that still works. I think it's had 2 very minor repairs in those decades. Meanwhile, newer ones often seem to break just after their warranties end. Story 25, a lot of designer bags. Especially when they get trendy, like that one Louis Vuitton bag that everyone had to have in the 00S. Even the high-end designers have a high-end version and a mass-produced version of the same things. So when one pops off, they have it mass-produced, and they leave the price relatively high. You're not getting the Chanel bag that a Kardashian carries. You're getting the mass-produced one that looks like it that Chanel also makes. They gave her a one-of-a-kind and it's different than the one you carry, even though it looks almost the same. Hers was worth $5,000, so when you pay $500 for what you think is a $5,000 bag and other people will think you paid $5,000, you'll gladly pay it. And Chanel knows that. That's why they gave her a $5,000 version of their $100 bag and jacked up the price to $500 for you suckers who started buying them. Story 26, Timbas. They used to be some of the best hiking books I could find. Leather, Gore-Tex, lasted forever, good sole, with a steel core, great for the Rockies or anywhere else. Now, they're plasticine club wear. They cost the same, but cost about 30 cents to make and disintegrate if you bring them anywhere near moisture or wear them more than a couple months a year. Story 27, reusable grocery bags. Plastic bags are good for the environment and are high quality and inexpensive. Reusable bags are disastrous for the environment, very poor quality and very expensive. One reusable bag does the same environmental damage as 7,100 plastic bags if you never wash it, and over 16,000 plastic bags of damage plus the 7,100 if you wash it once. It's all just a hypocritical virtue circle jerk. Story 28. What bags are you using? My bags for life are over 7 years old at this point and are not close to being EOL, whereas I would have used hundreds or even close to thousands of the old single-use ones by now. And I don't think it's about the environmental damage in terms of C02 to produce them, what is the figures you are quoting, but the sheer number of bags that float around the world and course aminal life harm. Story 29. While we are on the topic, what's the best pair of Bluetooth earbuds I can get for $250 or less? I've been using some Bose brand buds for 5 or so years, and they're starting to die a bit on me. Story 30, Healy. It's a product from a worldwide acting multi-million-dollar company that is supposed to heal all kinds of illnesses with quantum technology. One of these Healy thingies costs $4,000 or more, with an estimated material cost of $20-50. Also, what they sell as quantum technology is just a simple LED. The YouTube channel Fern did a great documentary about it.